The next question is in the name of Councillor Grant.
Thank you, Mr Mayor, members of the Council. And before I start, can I congratulate Councillor Sears on her maiden speech? Over the years, Bolton at Home has gradually distanced itself from council oversight, with only one councillor now on its board. They are also set to drop the Bolton name due to an upcoming merger. Many residents still mistakenly believe that the council is responsible for the security of social housing, not realising that we relinquished that responsibility in 2011. Given that several local authorities, such as Bury with 6 town housing, are now bringing social housing back in-house, due to the nature of the deal we had with Bolton at Home, this clawback isn't possible. But with the responsibility of housing those who are homeless still within the council, is it now not time to start building up our own housing stock, if not least to remove the financial burden of hiring rooms in hotels and hostels, and more perversely, letting homes from Bolton at Home housing stock, which exacerbates the housing shortage for those on the waiting register? We have the land that is often sold to developers at low prices. Shouldn't we now be looking to rebuild our own social housing stock? By doing so, we could deliver on Labour's housing pledges to restore trust in local housing by truly delivering for our residents. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Peel.
Thank you, Mr Mayor, and thank you to Councillor Grant and, in fact, the entire HBF group. You're obviously earning your crust this evening. Got those questions in early. Let me first address the issue of what we are trying to do here in Bolton to reduce the number of families and people who are presenting as homeless and to assist them. So we've been able to secure about 1.2 million investment for housing needs services, 350,000 allocation from GMCA to pilot further work in support of those at risk of rough sleeping and suffering conditions of multiple disadvantage. We're going to be using this funding to further integrate the work of our rough sleeper team and that of health, social care, substance misuse and mental health. 580,000 from round 3 of the Local Authority Housing Fund. This is a capital grant that we will use to bring empty properties back into use for temporary and social housing. The work will begin immediately, with hopefully the first of those homes brought back into use by the new year. By building up our portfolio in this way, this saves significant cash for hotel and other temporary accommodation. And £250,000 pilot working with GMCA in developing a new tenancy relations pilot, which is part of the Mayor of GM's Good Landlord Charter commitment, is to commission a service that will support more people at risk of illegal eviction, working closely with the Council in intervening at the earliest opportunity and therefore preventing homelessness. We do, of course, have some impending legislation from our new Labour government that will finally end no-fault evictions and also give greater powers to tenants and advocates of tenants to challenge unreasonable rent rises. This is incredibly important. It's something that needed to be done for a long time, and both of these actions by themselves will significantly reduce pressures on our homelessness services. But let me quickly address one or two of the other issues you raised. It's important to remember that no social housing is built without government money. It's not council money that we use. And we can always explore the argument that councils should build its own stock and build up its own stock. But we just need to be careful we're not in danger of reinventing the wheel and throwing aside economies of scale by doing this. If there's a pot of money that currently goes via GMCA and the council to go to Bolton at Home and other providers, that would just be a case of diverting that pot to Bolton Council. We'd have to then build up our own staffing team around that to use that. So it's an interesting concept that I personally support, but we just need to be careful about that. I do agree that Bolton at Home has become more distant from the council in recent years. I do think that this is a drift that's happened across the country with former council-owned housing organisations. Bringing housing providers back into the public sector is, as you said, financially prohibitive due to the massive capital debts that they all carry, which would have to be transferred into the PSBR. But the answer that I give to this is not that the issue is not that the council builds or owns social housing. Anybody can build our own social housing? The answer is that the Council controls social housing policy. And this can be achieved through a better regulatory system and potentially new powers passed down to combined authorities, and I can come to this in the motion later on. Powers passed down to combined authority such as the housing regulator. If the housing regulator, which is the national body at the moment, powers were passed down to our combined authority, then it would be our combined authority, Bolton included, that would control all aspects of local social housing policy, and therefore our political desire for greater accountability could then be exercised in a much easier way. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you.